I'm going to keep it simple and honest today, because when you're looking at a high-end workstation like the Roland Fantom 08, you're probably wondering if it's really worth the price tag, if it fits into the way you actually make music, and whether the bundle extras help or just add clutter. If you're on the fence, I'll walk through what it feels like to set this thing up in a home studio, how it holds up after a few weeks of daily use, and where the value actually lives. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation I hear from keyboard buyers is, will this replace my current gear or just sit on a shelf? The Fantom 08 markets itself as an all-in-one workstation, and the bundle tries to reinforce that claim with a sturdy style stand, a sustain pedal, a DVD of instructional material, a set of online piano lessons, and even a polishing cloth. That sounds like a lot, but the real test is whether each piece serves a purpose in a typical workflow. When you pull the Fantom 08 out of the box, the first thing you notice is the feel of the 88-key, double-braced keyboard. The keys have that weighted, piano-like response Roland calls piano technology, which means the hammer action is pretty close to an acoustic piano, but with the added benefit of being able to trigger synth patches instantly. For a composer who spends a lot of time layering piano parts with electronic textures, that dual nature is a genuine time-saver. I tried playing a simple chord progression, then switching the patch to a pad sound without lifting my hands. The transition was seamless, and the keys didn't feel mushy or detached. That's the sort of practical benefit you can't gauge from a spec sheet. The control layout lives up to its easy controls promise. There are dedicated knobs for filter, envelope, and effects, plus a set of scene buttons that let you store a complete mix of parameters. In a real-world session, I was able to set up 3 different scenes, a bright piano, a gritty synth lead, and an atmospheric pad. Switching between them was as quick as hitting a button, which kept the creative flow moving. The learning curve isn't as steep as some other workstations where you have to dive into deep menus for a basic change. That said, the everything-in-one-box approach does mean the interface can feel a little crowded if you're trying to tweak deep parameters while also sequencing. Speaking of sequencing, the built-in sequencer is where the Fantom 08 starts to justify its higher price. It offers pattern-based sequencing, step input, and the ability to chain patterns into full songs. I set up a basic 8-measure beat, added a bass line, and layered a melody all without touching a computer. The sequencer's visual feedback on the LCD is clear enough that you can see where each note sits, which is useful for quick edits. However, if you're used to a DA-centric workflow, you might find the lack of deep automation lanes a bit limiting. The Fantom 08 is great for sketching ideas and performing live, but you'll probably still want to export the MIDI to your DAW for final mixing. Now, let's talk about the bundle extras. The stand is solid, with a double-braced frame that doesn't wobble when you play aggressively. I've had cheaper stands that tip over when you press the sustain pedal hard, but this one stays put. The sustain pedal itself is a standard Roland model, responsive enough for nuanced piano dynamics. The instructional DVD and online lessons are aimed at beginners, which is fine if you're new to keyboard playing, but for an experienced producer they might feel redundant. The polishing cloth is a nice touch, but it won't replace regular maintenance if you're planning to move the unit around a lot. Who should buy the Fantom 08? If you're a composer, producer, or performer who wants a high-quality piano feel combined with robust synth capabilities, this is a solid investment. It shines in live settings where you can pull up scenes on the fly, and in home studios where you need to capture ideas quickly without opening a laptop. It's also a good fit for educators who want a single instrument that can demonstrate both acoustic piano technique and modern sound design. Who should skip it? If you're primarily a beatmaker who works exclusively in a DAW and never needs a weighted keyboard, you'll likely find the price hard to justify. Likewise, if you already own a dedicated piano and a separate synth module, the everything-in-one-box argument loses its punch, and you might be better off allocating the budget toward a better interface or higher-resolution monitors. Finally, if you need deep, per-track automation and complex routing, you'll still end up using a DAW for those tasks, so the Fantom 08 becomes more of a sketching tool than a final production engine. Practical strengths worth highlighting: the realistic key action, the intuitive scene workflow, and a sequencer that lets you build full arrangements without a computer. The bundled stand and pedal remove the need for